So yes, Susie, tell me, what do you think about in terms of your status? When does the person have to? When do you start thinking, what is the person? What can the person bring to the table?
Of the evaluation, you're constantly always evaluating
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not every day, but you know, little things here and there might pop up a little flag. It might be a red flag, it might be a green flag, you don't know, but it allows you to evaluate, like, this is what you told me at the beginning. And I'm comparing what you said to what
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing, because actions speak louder than words, you know.
Yes,
And
yes, it
then, you know, and it's an opportunity for you if you, I mean, if you're open and honest from day one,
is. Mm-hmm.
and you're transparent with each other, and you say, hey, I remember you said you know, and I saw that this, and then, you know, we're all human, and saw that you know, you're struggling with that, and what's that all about, and you know,
Yeah.
and see what come with that, and like, do you need guide? Do you want me to help you? We can talk through it or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you know. I mean, because let it be you're married, or let it be that you're in not married, but you're in a committed relationship. You're supposed to constantly be talking to each other, like
Yeah.
gauging and figuring out how's my person doing. You know, I
Yeah.
hope they're checking me. You know, give each other a swift kick in the butt when you need to. You know, because sometimes we need that jump start. We need that accountability. You need to be accountable for yourself, but sometimes you need that your partner to be, you know, be able to give you that swift kick. That they have that. They have to know that, you know, when you see me, I'm moving around or I'm down on myself. Sometimes you need to give me a swift kick in the ass too. You know, just like, hey, get it together. What's
And the
wrong?
willingness to change.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the willingness to actually accept that you're changing. Because we're
Right.
all going, like you talk about kids going through growth spurts, but
Yeah.
as adults, we go through growth spurts and we don't realize it. We're going through these phases and changes as we get older.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the stuff is so hard for us to accept on our own. And you're going to work, you're taking care of the kids, you're doing all this stuff. And in the back of your mind, you know, you're changing and you're trying to
Yep.
process that and trying to accept it. And you might not want to accept it. And here you are, you're just like, the fuck, like what am I doing?
What happened?
What's happening? Yeah, but I mean, and it hurts when you're by yourself. It sucks sometimes because you don't have anybody to bounce back. That's why good friends are good to have. But when you have that significant other, and if they're truly in tune to you, into you, and they understand you and they know how you work, they should be able to. Most of the time, they recognize it, and they're usually the ones that like call it out and be like, hey, what's up? I see that you've been struggling with da da da, and then it's your opportunity to be like, am I ready to talk about this now, or give me a few moments, and then give me a few days, and then we can come back and I'll be better prepared to talk about it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Sheila?
I think that when you start in a relationship, it's a perfect time to see what you would tolerate and what you won't tolerate. And then as the relationship grows, that's when you start thinking to yourself, okay, you're evaluating yourself to the point where this is what I can bring to the table. Depending on that person's status, you start to figure out on your own, is this the person that I want to spend the next couple of months with? Because you should give yourself a timeline, because you, as you know, if I was in the dating scene, I'm not wasting my time, and no lady would like to waste their time.
Right.
I would want to ask the question, hey, what is, I'm sorry, this thing is trying to die on me and it's plugged in, so I don't know what's going on. Where are we going with this? In the relationship, you have to ask where we're going with this. What are we planning on doing? How are we going to move on as a couple? How are we going to move on where how can we be a power couple? How can we elevate ourselves? How can we elevate our own personal self? Then it's the question, okay, since we've already evaluated and we have mapped up what we plan on doing, because nothing ever planned always go as planned, how are we, what is the next step? And if the next step is just to remain friends or just to be in a in a relationship with no plans, then that's something that you guys have to come into an agreement with. If the goal is not to get married, then this is just a long-term boyfriend and girlfriend, and I don't want to do that. And if it's if the goal is to get married, then my next step is, okay, how many kids do you want? Do you want to have kids? And some of these questions are very hard for other people because they may have not, thought about it in depth. Where to the point of saying, do I really want to have kids? I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, we don't want to do that because there'll come a point in time when the relationship is going and you ask your significant, I think it's time to have kids. Oh, I don't want to have kids, but now you guys are married. So where does that leave you? So those are the type of questions and those are the type of things that if I was dating, I would want to have these up front and to understand where we're going through here, because I'm not just here to let you, tickle my little thing and be gone.
Right. And I think that, like, it's funny you say that with the whole kid thing. And my experience in the past was there are people who say what they need to say just to get you. True. And so I think the error was, in my part, not having more in-depth conversation as time went on. And so when it comes time, like what you said, you're married, like, okay, we need to have kids. And the person's like, oh, I'm not ready. Or they find a way to push it off and stuff like that. And it's just like, I wish you had told me before we got married. So I could have moved on to the next person. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I say that you have to have not only the conversation of what do you bring to the table, you have to constantly be, you check yourself, but you're checking the other person, in your head, like, are they keeping their word? Are they keeping their word in this commitment? Let it be you're married or not. Are you keeping your word? You said all this stuff. We met at this table. We broke bread, talked about what we like, what we don't like. Here's my boundaries, not my boundaries, whatever. And then as time going on, you're a totally different person. You're not even, so that's why, and the thing is, the part that sucks is when you're dating someone, it's new, you're in love, and you're like, oh my God. And so it's easy to let the red flags go. Right. And so now I'm, like I told Sheila in the first podcast that we did, I'm unmarried. And so I'm not going to say divorced, but I'm married. But
divorce,
whatever. I'm married. But I learned in my experience of, and everybody goes through it, like when you're in love, you're in love. It's not your fault. You're learning. You learn the hard way. But I know that, okay, I got it. I'm good. So now I'm in a committed relationship right now. And so I love him. That's fine. And so, but we check each other. And I'm like, why did you say that? Why did you do that? That doesn't make sense. Like, so we do, and he checks me. We go back and forth. So, and I like that because we're keeping each other accountable.
So is that considered bringing baggage from your old relationship to your new?
Yeah, who doesn't? But it depends on how you
don't do it intentionally. It's it happens.
It happened, but
that's just part of learning.
Yeah, but how do you manage the baggage you're bringing in, and instead of making it a negative thing, how do you flip it to make it a positive thing, and then the relationship's moving forward?
Right.
But I think when you're single, you have like moments of whether or not if you want to stay with this person long term, and then after you're married, or in a committed relationship, I think you still have the moments, but you're not choosing whether you want to be in the relationship or not. Instead, you're choosing whether to be complacent or if you want to keep the marriage exciting. So it's like throughout any relationship, like before or after the commitment of it, you're still making decisions constantly. It's like how you want it to be, because it doesn't, you have to work on a relationship always to keep it
exciting.
fresh. Yeah.
I understand. Now, how important is family to you guys?
Very important.
I would
Very
saying
important.
I want a family. Yeah. I went in saying I want it.
How important is it? Wait, okay, let me phrase it this way. If your significant other is not getting along with either your parents or your sibling, it's to the point where it's on almost at toxic, would you diminish the relationship?
If it's toxic, yeah.
No, it's not. It's not toxic, but it's like, yo, dude, I will you up if you talk like this. Would you diminish the relationship?
I would say counseling first, to be honest with you. Sit down
the
and
family?
talk with a third party person to see if this can be resolved or changed. And from then on, make a decision.
Well, with the family and with your partner?
Mhm.
Or you and your partner?
I'm sorry, say it again, one more time.
She said she'll seek counseling, and I was asking if it would be with your family or with you and your partner, or would be the
It would be
family.
with me and the partner, and then later on bring on the family member or whoever the conflict's with to see too, maybe it's something that's unclear. Sometimes people go into an argument for no reason at all. You're like, oh, you were mad about this? I didn't know that. Had you sit down and talk, guess what? You would have known. But I'm just saying, all parties involved, I would say, would need to sit down with a counselor, maybe separately, and then after that come together. But before even making that decision, if you really love that individual person, I keep saying individual, but if you really love that person, you would seek counseling to see, where does this stand? Can this work? And then bring the person that they're having the conflict with and sit down with them and said, okay, how can we resolve? Can we even resolve this? And if
Right.
so, let's work at it. And if
Okay.
it does work, then stay with the person. If it doesn't, then you make that decision then. You have to try. You can't just say, oh, I give up. If you love that person, you have to try.
I'm going
Not,
through something.
not
like
try
this
where
right
you
now.
get hurt. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
Not where you get hurt, but at least try to save it. And if it doesn't work, then you move on.
That's what it is.
Yo,
right?
Cynthia,
Exactly.
can you please fix that ring? It's blinding me. It's blinding. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm going through something very similar to this right now. And
Oh, really? Okay.
It's me not getting along with his family or his parents, to be exact.
Oh, okay.
And it's funny you say therapy, because I'm seeking therapy for myself, because I need something to hold me back from
Going Lynn on them. Lynn, Cynthia
Yeah.
said.
But because it's it's something that I wish that could be resolved, but it's something like deep rooted in them that I know that won't be, that
Listen,
it's something that
you ain't
we're
gonna- you ain't gonna win with the old people. Just be real.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
No,
so
you gotta. When it comes to dealing with older people, and this is where, and I think Sheila and I've had these conversations, is our parents and people in their generation, they only got what they have in their toolkit in terms of dealing with people, and so if you pull back and you look at them and the situation that you have, whatever is happening between the two, you got the 2, 3, whoever it is with you, and like look at it, like do you honestly believe you're gonna win? And sometimes some things you just gotta be like, you know what, I don't have time.
Right.
Listen, by default, you're born with problems in life already.
Right.
Mhm.
It might not be upfront. By default, like when you turn as an adult, by default, we have issues. And then you're gonna add other issues on top of that. If you try your best with the counseling, just let it go. It's not that. I don't know what it is. I hope it's not that serious.
Well, sometimes go ahead, sir.
No, it's more for me, just to because stop trying to blame myself for their like ignorance or their them not, because it made me sad that we weren't together like a family. So I seek counseling to be okay with the fact that he loves me, he loves our family, and he we're building together, and that we've kept strong in all the craziness.
Yeah, let them. You know what? Sometimes
because
they're older, they don't know what to do with themselves.
It's Sometimes it's just how they were raised, and it's
That's-
transport. It just carries on.
And that's not
And
their fault.
if your fiance and you have already broken that cycle, then your child is not going to even know about this. You
Right.
get what I'm saying?
Right.
They're going to know the loving mom and dad, and they're going to know how they love people regardless of color, creed,
Mhm.
or
Right.
genderification. I mean, not gentrification, but gender.
Mhm.
And if you've already instilled in that, then that's all you need. All
Yeah.
other stuff just take a back burner,
Right.
Mhm.
because there's no time and no energy that you need to waste
Right.
on anybody
Right.
if they are not, one, accepting of who you are and how you tend to celebrate your culture or yourself,
Right.
and two, if you are respectful from the get-go, then what's the problem?
There's no problem. Don't doubt
Right.
yourself. Do not doubt yourself. If you know you're doing the right thing, and you know you see it. If something wrong with them, why are you wasting your time, energy, brain cells, and trying to
Right.
correct them? It is what it is. These are grown people.
Right,
You ain't gonna win.
Yeah,
Right.
but even though if they're grown people, they're still part of the boo-boo's
Family.
life.
Right.
And
Right.
you know,
exactly.
you still gonna have to have
Yeah.
But you
constant
set
contact
boundaries.
with them.
You can have contact, but set boundaries and keep it simple. You know.
Right.
The only boundary is in you walk in, I walk out. You walk in, I walk out. Because
Like,
it's
so not
because
just
that
no,
negative
right.
energy is going to consume you.
Yes.
And then
exactly.
this person could say, you know, oh, could you please could you please pass the butter? And you just lunge it. I said I don't want to give you no butter. You know, you don't want that energy to fester. But
Yes,
you know, if you
exactly.
addressed it, great.
Right.
You move on, they can think whatever they want.
Exactly. That's
Hot
it.
peas
You say
and
what you
cold
have to
butter.
say. Really, man. Say what
Yes.
you got to say, and keep it moving. That's it. And if they're in their feelings, who cares? You got whatever off your chest you got, and move on. And
Right.
listen, that's what kills some people too. When they know they got issues with you, when you don't pay no mind,
Oh, yeah.
It makes them
it kills them. That's all right. Let them stay.
Man.
You know what? Because you know why it's killing them? Because they know they're wrong. And they
Right.
know the fact that they're like, wait a minute,
Not
I'm not irking her. She's not responding to me. Like, what's
Right.
wrong? What else can I do? And then you just
Sometimes they don't see it as they're doing wrong. They see it as it's just right. This
Because it's a
is
cycle.
normal.
Right.
But you know, it's
right.
okay.
I'm just trying to keep my sanity.
That's right. So
It'll be all right.
ladies, what would be the ultimate well, Naomi's single, Cynthia's fiancé, and Susie's all booed up. So what would be I think for these ladies out here, for my listeners out there, what would be one good advice from your experience to let them know about dating, relationships, and what to tolerate? Just one thing. But let's start with Suzanne.
One thing that you should do with the dating is being honest with yourself and being honest. I get tired of hearing the like, oh, I thought he wanted a relationship, but he told you from day one, I'm just looking for FWB.
Mm.
And like, but
Can
I
you
was
please
hoping,
elaborate FWB?
friends with benefits.
Okay.
Like he'll tell you, oh, I'm just looking for something casual, but she's looking for something long-term, and she's hoping to change his mind and come to the other side. No, don't do that, because then you get upset, and then he's like, well, you know, I thought I was in a relationship, and you're like, did he ever say that he wanted to be in a relationship, or he just wanted to be, excuse my French, fuck buddies? Oh, I don't remember that. And like, because I don't know from the guy's side, but from women, we have a tendency, beautiful man, he got all this working for him, and he tells you straight up what he wants, and then we're just like, oh yeah, but this is what I want, and this is what we're going to do. And then you get upset at the end if he didn't come to your side, and he's just like, I don't want that. I never wanted that. And then you've wasted all your time and energy, and you're in tears, and like, oh, he ain't shit and all this other stuff. Well, you might be ain't shit either, because you didn't pay attention. He told you from day one. He's been telling you, and you just totally ignored him. So respect the fact that if they're being honest with you, or and respect the fact, like be okay, like to say be consistent and transparent. Say that I am looking for a long-term relationship. I'm not doing casual dating. Put it out there, and I'm like, what about you? And it's hard to tell because some people will say what they need to say just to get with you. So you just got to be mindful and be careful and
Step through all the BS.
and go through it just to understand, like you said that you wanted long term, but the actions you have don't match up with somebody who's looking to be in a long-term relationship, you know. So you got to be open and honest with that, because you're wasting all this time and energy, and you're crying and you're huffing and puffing and all this stuff when you could have been on to the next dude doing something much better.
Right. How about you, Naomi? What one thing would you give our listeners to being a single woman?
I do agree with Suzanne. Being honest. I'm not. But the other thing too, I would like for ladies to understand, you should be okay being alone too. Don't just jump into a relationship just because you don't want to be alone. Freak that. Enjoy yourself. Okay.
Naomi,
if you don't enjoy yourself, how are you gonna enjoy inviting somebody else into your life? You have to love being alone too before you even introduce the other person into your life. That's one thing I see a lot of ladies make mistake with. Well, I don't want to be alone. Why not?
Right.
You get to do whatever you want. You could take yourself to the movies. You don't need a guy to be taking you to the movies.
I love that. Love it.
I'm just saying you gotta enjoy yourself too. And then allow somebody else to come and be that companionship.
Right.
Right. Very good, Naomi. I see SSC had worked with you. Okay.
No, you did not.
SSC is Salem State College. Shout out to our alums.
You made it sound like she was in therapy, ma'am.
That's why I had to explain what SSC means.
It's so bad. It's so terrible.
Oh, how about you, Miss Cynthia, as a fiancée?
Let me see. I think if I had to pass anything on to anybody, I would say, man, it's always work. You being in a relationship, you always got to work on it. Like it's nothing that just kind of like falls into place and like, you know, like yeah, you can love at first sight, but you the older you get, your eyes get blurry, and so things, you know, you gotta keep working on the relationship, and know that you are changing and they're changing. So it's kind of like being able to keep up with each other and allowing each other to change and evolve and changing with each other and learning about each other constantly, because it's never the same. It changes, you know, every year is different. You learn, you grow, and you just have to be able to keep up with each other. Always ask questions and be okay with being with, you know, with sometimes not agreeing, because it's okay to not agree.
Absolutely.
You know, people. I think a lot of people think that a relationship, everything has to be the same and no fighting, but it's just you just have to be okay with if the change with each other and growing with each other.
Right. Good job. I wanted to tack on to what Naomi was saying about being okay.
My gosh, I swear, you guys.
Just kidding. Go ahead.
The problem, I can easily mute myself and just be. Very easy, ma'am. No, but I wanted to see. Now you made me lost the train of thought. Oh yeah, so that's what I was gonna say. So okay, being by yourself, meaning you take the trips by yourself and you take yourself out to dinner, do self-care, make that a routine that you come first. And the other thing that I've learned in the last 4 years is your happiness is not tied to anybody but yourself. Right. If I was going to give a piece of advice, you have to, if you look yourself in the mirror and you know you are not happy, then you probably shouldn't be dating anybody. You got to figure out, and nobody's really 100% happy with themselves, but you know, if you look at yourself, or you're afraid to look at yourself in the mirror and acknowledge that you are not can't acknowledge that you're not happy with yourself, then you're going into a relationship looking for somebody to make you happy. That's a scary thing to do, because when that person decides they don't want to be with you, you're in shambles. You don't know what to do with yourself. You're like, wait a minute, like, what am I going to do? So it's hard work. It's not something that our parents taught us to. I know I had a conversation with my mom where I'm like, did your mom and your dad talk you about what it meant for you to be happy on your own? And she's like, no, I just thought being happy was making money, getting a place to live, and take care of myself. But this whole thing in the last 2 years, especially with the pandemic, about self-care and being by people being alone because there's nobody with them, you're isolated from the rest of the world. Like, what does it mean to be by yourself? How do you keep yourself company? Can you keep yourself company?
Right.
I can.
Are you a good time by yourself? If you're not a good
All the
by
time.
yourself, I know you
Till
are.
I know
I
that.
know. We're not surprised. We're not surprised at all.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Cynthia knows me, Susie knows me, and Naomi knows me. So the whole world shall know me.
We know. You are the party. You're the party. Yes.
Butterfly.
Let me know when you're done.
I'm
But yeah, being happy. If you have to learn how to be happy on your own,
yes.
and it's not attached to anybody but you. So yeah.
All right. Well, that's wonderful, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Sheila Bourne Joseph. This is Thick Chicks with a Thought, and I am here with 3 lovely ladies for my co-host today, Miss Naomi Georgian, Suzanne Dosu, and Cynthia. Oh, what's the new name?
No, it's still Nunez. We have
Nunez. Yes, Miss Nunez. So I appreciate you ladies coming here. Any shout outs before we end the show?
Shout out to you, Sheila.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you.
Shout out to you,
Appreciate
Sheila.
it. Thank you.
Nice to see you, Suzanne. Long time. Sorry, I had to say that.
In a while.
I know.
Oh my goodness. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for everything that you have done and appreciate. If you have, please leave comments, hit like, subscribe. These ladies are here. They did an awesome job just telling us about their feelings, and hopefully you got something out of it. Again, my name is Sheila Bourne Joseph, and I thank you very much for tuning in.